a year ago, and it has been such a rich experience. I have learned about so many amazing nonprofits in the Chilkat Valley and the wide range of services that they offer to us that benefit all of us. And you know, our nonprofits provide essential services to our community. They enhance the quality of our life, and they make it a more desirable place to live. And you know, we have nonprofits that supply our health care. They have life-saving services. They support our most vulnerable citizens with welfare services and elderly care. They work to maintain our culture and our history. They focus on bringing us entertainment. They give us access to outdoor fitness opportunities. And they support our children through school events, after-school events, team supports, learning, development programs. We have so many amazing nonprofits in this community. Yes, yes. These nonprofits are primarily operated by volunteers, our friends, our neighbors that care about community. And unlike in the lower 48, where municipalities supply some of these services wouldn't exist without our nonprofits. For example, we wouldn't have animal control, we wouldn't have recycling. We only have these because we have local nonprofits that take care of these things for us. But they're in a really tight place right now. We all are, but I'm just gonna stick to the nonprofits right now. You know, many of them rely at least partially on federal funding. I spoke with many nonprofits that over 50% of their funding comes from federal grants. Right now, many of those federal grant programs have been suspended or they are at risk of suspension. And with their grants at risk, our nonprofits are unsure if they can continue to supply these services to our community. You know, how will our way of life change if that happens? For example, how will we help our disadvantaged and our elderly if there are no more meals served at the senior center? What if a sale can no longer help them to live independently? What if HAL can no longer take them into assisted living because Medicaid will no longer cover their costs? What are we going to do? I ask you to continue to speak up and support these integral parts of our community. Today, our nonprofits don't know if they will have the funding they need or even the funding that they have been awarded but not yet received. What if those funds never come through? What if they no longer can offer these essential services to all of us? That would be a tragedy. Actually, it would be a catastrophe for all of us. Thank you.
Mr. Tom Haywood will now speak.
Well, by way of welcome, I would like to quote a now famous 6th grade teacher in Idaho when she said, her name is Sarah Inema, she said, "Everyone is welcome here." So nice to see you all today. I've been honored over many years now to spend time at the Haines Assisted Living on Monday nights playing music with a whole bunch of different people around the community, and through the evolution of lots of different residents up there, and it's given me a better understanding of just how important that facility is to our community. So I'd like to just speak briefly on the role that Medicaid plays in supporting our elderly and our seniors in Haines. First of all, a couple facts. In the United States, 84 million Americans receive and rely on medical assistance for medical costs from Medicaid. This includes low-income families and people with disabilities, elderly care, assisted living, and nursing homes. In the United States, the average contribution of the federal government to the states is about 60% of the cost of Medicare and 40% to the states. So you can imagine the loss to our state if we lose the Medicare assistance from the government. The current budget that passed through the House, it had $880 billion in cuts to the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. So it's only logical to imagine the amount of cuts that are going to be made to the Medicaid system unless something changes between now and then. Locally, our assisted living, which was Lucy Harrell's dream for allowing more people to age in place in Haines, it would be severely affected by cuts to Medicaid. The majority of HAL's residents over the years have been on Medicaid reimbursement. And at times it's 100% of the residents of HAL. So it's hard to imagine what exactly would happen if those funds would be cut and where people would go. I mean, the truth is that the loss of Medicare would completely necessitate a closure of our Haines Assisted Living. And I personally am glad that it's here, because as a 69-year-old, I'm hoping that as a 89-year-old that it's still there for me when I get there, or maybe even earlier than that, who knows. It's also hard to imagine in a closure situation where the residents would go. I mean, who takes care of them? The stress put on the residents, the stress put on the families would be enormous. Besides the residents, HAL employs 10 trained professionals, some with very high level of training and years of experience. They would be forced to find other work, likely out of their field if they wanted to stay here in Haines, because of course search and sale and reach would all be hit hard as well. So the threat of Medicaid truly runs deep through our fabric in our community of Haines. It currently supports seniors, people with disabilities. It provides medical care for those who need it the most, supports Denali Kid Care as well as SNAP. So my goal here today, maybe preaching to the choir I'm sure, but my goal is just to provide a little information about the value of Medicaid to our community and how the impact of cuts, or how the cuts could impact Haines Assisted Living in particular. We would not be immune to these effects, even though it could be a nationwide phenomenon. So thank you for listening and gathering, and for doing what you can to support our seniors and to contact the people who have the power to enact some change in our country and in our state. So thank you for listening.